Hey folks, Gary once again with another underwater video for your consumption. This time I am at Mystery Lake in North Carolina. Mystery Lake is a private scuba park just outside Raleigh-Durham near the town of Wendell, North Carolina. Now in this shot I'm showing a small platform which is around somewhere near 50 feet deep, and it's got a lot of very young fish on it, kind of like a nursery area here, and that's really why I wanted to stop and get a little video of it. Not only is it a good training platform, being much deeper than most of the platforms you'd encounter in a typical quarry, but in this case, it just demonstrates how healthy the environment is. All these young fish thriving here, 50 feet deep on a platform. Now, the water here is about 70, mid 70s, low 70s from the surface all the way down to about 70 feet. And that's because they're running bubblers here, which constantly churn up the water, bringing the cold water below the thermocline up to a place where it can get heated. This is a picture of a Piper Apache airplane. There's one of those sunk in Mystery Lake. It's about 80 feet deep. And in this particular shot, you see me moving along a line which goes from one of the perimeter ropes, and there's ropes around the entire perimeter of Mystery Lake, both at around 25 feet and then again about 50 feet deep. In this case, the perimeter line, which is labeled at various junctions, takes you right to the edge of the airplane's wing. So now here I am coming up about 80 feet deep on this Piper Apache aircraft, and it's remarkably good shape. You go to a lot of quarries and you'll see a sign on the map that says, here's an airplane or here's something else. And unfortunately, when you get to it, all you find is maybe a little bit that's left of a chassis of some sort or some stripped down frame from something else. But in this case, the airplane seems pretty intact. You remember from the picture, it's a twin engine, small airplane. Here's one of the engine nacelles, and there I am lighting up the cockpit for you. You can see the paint on it still intact. The glass is all in it. So this thing, once again, about 80 feet deep and in pretty good shape. One thing I will comment on is the viz here. Not so good when you get down towards the very bottom. That's not uncommon in quarries and whatnot. It seems like something just constantly stirs up the bottom. I don't know if it's the aquifer kicking up the silt or something else, but in many of these quarries, you get to the bottom and you'll find a layer of haze just kind of hovering on that last 10 feet or so. Um, Here I am going down the side of the fuselage, headed towards the tail. I was kind of curious to see if the tail was intact. And what's funny to me, as usual, is this video camera managed to pick up a lot better video than I would have thought. I'm looking out through my mask, and I'm not seeing quite as good of a view of the aircraft as you're getting here on the video. Now this light is also, I took the diffuser off of it in order to get a more intense beam so I could see where I was. And if I put that diffuser back on, you're going to see a lot more backscatter, and it's just not going to look like a really nice, clear view of the aircraft. I talked to the owners of Mystery Lake, Derek and Season, and they told me that this airplane had pretty much been abandoned at a nearby airport, and they were able to get it and then go through the cleaning of the aircraft to make sure there weren't any oils or any contaminants there. You want to make sure you don't hurt the environment when you sink something like this into your lake. So they went through the process of cleaning this thing out before they sunk it. There I am writing my initials on the windshield, GT. I put 2024 under that. So if somebody goes by the plane, they may still see that there and say, oh yeah, Gary was here. At that point, I'm making my way back out of the area. Here you can see some of the paint coming off, but this aircraft had apparently been abandoned for quite some time at the airport. So I do not know what of the damage to the paint is damage from being underwater versus damage from just sitting abandoned in a field somewhere. So there I am back on my scooter heading down the line, the 50-foot deep perimeter line. And lo and behold, I look up and there's the bottom of a hull, a little boat up there. And I took a moment to get some video of that. And you see these little 1 inch by like 3 inch cards here that somebody's taken the time to write and label the lines here so you can see which line goes where. Up shallow, there's some buses that you can go have a look at, two different buses. And in this case, I think it's pointing toward the larger of the two. But anyway, here's the here's the boat, and once again, you see a lot of these baby fish here. So the healthy water creating a good environment for these things to grow up. Little catfish there in the bottom of the boat. I did see a lot of catfish. I did not see hardly any bass here. I really don't recall seeing a single one. I did see a few of the regular perch, but for the most part, I didn't see bass here. At least ways not in any great numbers. They were here, they were too small for me to pay attention to. And the visibility at this depth is pretty good in places. It gets spotty like here. Once again, I have a lot of this backscatter, but earlier it was okay. And I think this is where I'm coming up on one of the platforms. So this is the 50-foot deep platform. There's two big entries. There's the South Beach and the East Beach. The South Beach is the first one you come to. You'll recognize it by the statue of the Bigfoot and the little platform out there hanging over the water with a statue of a ship captain on it. That's the South Beach, and the East Beach is a little further down the road. Now here you see a junction of three lines coming together, and I was told there's a number of different things in the bottom. In this case, I went looking for the outhouse. So I have found, yes, folks, the legendary lost outhouse of Atlantis. It is, in fact, in Mystery Lake, North Carolina, about 80 feet deep. You see it right there. A lot of silt on the roof. You come around the front there, the door is open. And you can see the wood real well if you get up close. Seems still intact, and this was here, from what I could tell, talking to Derek in season. This is probably here back from the 1930s. It was a functional working quarry, and it shut down at some point and flooded, and then the nearby town of Wendell needed a reservoir, so they put in infrastructure to pump water out of it, and it provided water to the nearby community for a while, but then it began to get overworked and it couldn't keep up with the community's needs. So the town abandoned it as a reservoir and left it back as it is now, a very nice little recreational lake. Once again, lots of baby fish. Now they're at 80 feet deep, and once again demonstrating the fact that there is really no perceptible thermocline down here. Kind of gets gradually a little cooler, but for the most part, it stays in the 70s, about 71, I think, down here on the bottom. And there I am coming back up, and once again headed back over to the platform, but in this case, stopping at the 50-foot platform to show you the pipe. This is the pipe that they used to draw water out of. You see these little things jutting out of it are screens to filter out anything big, fish and whatnot. And if you swim up, follow that pipe up, it would lead eventually to, in the old days before the equipment was removed, it would lead to a pump house and some filtering infrastructure and whatever else was necessary to turn this into useful drinking water. Great view from here, by the way. You can look up and see the 25-foot platform because the 50-foot platform's on one side of the pipe, and then directly above that at 25 feet is the second platform. So from the concept of a training area, if you want to train people, this is a good place to do it. You can get folks a little bit more comfortable. Take an open water student in here, drop them down to the 25-foot platform, and get them comfortable, and then come down further to the 55-foot platform or 50-foot platform, whichever that is, and then begin working with them from there. Now, one thing which I did while I was on this particular dive, not only did I visit the outhouse, but I had gone and visited the airplane. I was on the airplane a little bit longer than was good for my computer. It began complaining about the no decompression limit being reached, meaning if I stayed much longer, I would have to go through a longer formal decompression process. I didn't really want to do that, but it did nevertheless give me a 5-minute safety stop at 20 feet. So I'm coming up a little slow, trying to relax, give a chance for the gas to leave my bloodstream. And here's the 25-foot platform. Funny, I just noticed I'm not really seeing any fish here compared to the ones which I did run into at the 50-foot area. So interesting that the babies are down deeper. If you go to another quarry like Lake Phoenix, you won't find any young fish down below that thermocline, which occurs usually around 30 feet this time of year. But here in Mystery Lake, no thermocline, so the younger fish are comfortable down deeper. And this is where I stopped and hung out for about, I want to say 5 minutes, then swam up shallower. And once I got up shallow, I was able to go ahead and get out, divest myself of my equipment. Here I am coming up the wall. And that's really one of the other interesting features here at Mystery is there's a lot of interesting rock formations, fissures and whatnot, deep little crevices all along the wall. At one point, I shot into one. It was getting really dark in there. I thought, wow, that's really quite an overhang above me. But here I am coming up the wall, nice and slow, all the while letting some of the nitrogen work its way out of my bloodstream. By the way, I did most of this dive with the scooter. I did the whole perimeter of Mystery in about 40 minutes, give or take. And some of the time I came off the scooter, clipped it off on the line when I was dropping down to the real silty areas. You don't want to take a scooter with you down to a silty, muddy area. All it will do is blow out the viz and make it miserable down there. And that's it. That's the shallow area. If you look off in the distance there, yep, it's popping up on the surface. You can see my RV there in the background. And just a real quick view of the surface here. Beautiful day, beautiful weather here at Mystery Lake. So until next time, have a good one.